Hey everyone, I'm Evangeline here at etrailer. Since every bike rack fits every motorhome differently, today we're focusing in on how the Kuat Piston ION fits on the 2026 Renegade RV Explorer motorhome. Now this is a heavy duty motorhome, so if you're planning on carrying around some bikes behind it, there's some things you may want to know. A lot of people really like the ION because it's designed specifically for these heavy-duty situations. You still get a really high weight capacity, but there's some tips and tricks that I have for you to make sure you get the most out of this bike rack. So I needed to use an adapter with this motorhome because it has this 3-inch hitch. So I used the Buyer's Products 3-inch to 2-inch hitch adapter. That's something I might recommend just because it extends out and allows you to carry 2-inch accessories like what we have here. But it's not a perfect solution. You may also need a anti-rattle option and maybe a locking pin, because currently we just have a hitch pin, and even though I super secured the bike rack, there's still a little bit of movement there with the adapter. So that's gonna happen no matter what. You don't really have that many options if you want to carry bike racks with this motorhome. And here at etrailer, we can help you out with that, whether it's getting the right adapter or the right anti-rattle piece, or just double checking that you do have all the right things. Feel free to give us a call or send us a message so that we can help you out there. And once you do have all those things, I do think it really is worth it because this is a really easy rack to have. Even with that high weight capacity, you're not losing out on usability. You have wheel chocks and straps that secure your front and your rear wheels. And you have this easy system. You just press the lever and push that mount out. Now I do recommend here on our motorhome to go ahead and use the ramp, simply because that's going to be a lot of height that you may have to lift your up to 80-pound bike. So before you get the ramp loaded up, what I do is I undo the rear strap, but I do not undo that rear cradle mount. Included is this aluminum ramp, which is awesome because then you don't have to get it separately. All you need to do is just get the ramp, loosen the knob, slide it out to your desired height, and then tighten it back up. And this just fits onto those arms. So super easy. Just bring the front cradle or front mount all the way down, and then we're gonna go ahead and hit this lever here to loosen that rear arm so that we can now ramp this bike down. So you can imagine that if I had an 80-pound bike, this would not be the best experience. But ramping it up and down, so much easier. So hopefully, as you have two bikes on there, that process with the ramp and setting it up makes it a lot easier for you. And this is what your bike rack looks like without the bike on there. You can hear as we bring this mount in, it's starting to ratchet. And that's how you secure your bikes when you are loading up. There's a lot of fun features here, like how you can quickly switch between the different wheel sizes that your mount is capable of carrying. With the space that it takes up behind your vehicle, usually on smaller cars, this makes a big difference, and I'll give those measurements for tilting the rack away or folding it up. Here on the motorhome, not as big of a deal, especially since you don't really have any ladders or other things that you're maneuvering around behind the motorhome. But we'll still take a measurement here. So from the wall to the end of the rack, that sits at 39 inches. And that's how much space this will add to the back of the motorhome. A big question though is how high does it sit? So from the cradles to the ground, that will be around 29 inches. You can imagine how much easier it is with a ramp to ramp your bike up rather than lifting it over 2 feet. You do have the option of folding this up so it is a bit more compact, just like that. And that will be helpful if you're parked somewhere, you're not planning on using your bikes a lot, but you also just want it to be a bit more neat and not run into it as often. The Piston ION is definitely the beefiest bike rack from Kuat. Perfect for RV or motorhome situations like what we have here. When people ask me for recommendations for a bike rack behind motorhomes, I usually recommend a high weight capacity, something easy to secure around your bike and has a ramp. And this checks off all those boxes. My main advice to you really is please make sure you get the correct adapter and a way to prevent wobble. While the piston bike rack has this tool-free process for tightening down into the hitch receiver, it can only do so much if your adapter itself is what's wobbling around. So definitely check out our options here at eTrailer to make sure to take that rattle out of your hitch adapter. But with all that being said, what you saw here was a look at the Kuat Piston ION here on a 2026 Renegade RV Explorer motorhome.